What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk to you about Lucid. I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down, what's moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid's up 2.45%, 245 the low, 260 the high. So you did see Lucid struggle a little bit first thing, and that's just because of shorts and that 250 strike price. So I'm going to go over what that means and why shorts might be very manipulative to bring it down below that, which is happening right now. But nonetheless, today there isn't any concrete news from Lucid itself, no SEC filings. So from them, we'll just have to wait for the upcoming earnings just to hear some sweet words of wisdom from Mark and the team. But aside from that, the market is really going higher. So as you can kind of see, Dow is up 2.38, S&P 2.5, NASDAQ 2.89. That is largely because of us getting a lot of clarity from tariffs, and also a lot of big institutions, I believe Bank of America and JPM, did both mention that for the next two Fed meetings, given the circumstances, they're pretty much almost stuck to give rate cuts. Market doesn't fully believe that because right now for the May 7th meeting, it does show a 29.2% likelihood of a 25 basis point cut. That is up from 19 over the last 1 week, so maybe. But for the June one, definitely it shows that there is a rate cut. So market loves pretty much the updates that we are getting, and the likelihood of a rate cut as well for the foreseeable future is very good for a lot of growth stocks, and even more so for the EV sector. Very sensitive to interest rates, of course, but the only thing I wanted to bring up that is of value was posted by CEO of Antifa. So it goes to show, and it compares the Gravity and Cybertruck, just the charging curve. And I think generally speaking, we've always known that the Gravity and just Lucid has better technology. And that's one thing that actually from the beginning of time, way back in 2021, 2022, bears have never been able to really argue that point, is the fact that Lucid has better technology. It just, I think their marketing has been lackluster, and this is why we only have Aston Martin as a licensing type of partner or a deal. So hopefully 2025, with Lucid focusing on marketing a lot more, that should really draw in more partnerships and whatever else. But yeah, this is pretty good stuff. So let me know your general thoughts on that in the comments below. Aside from that, though, you have shorts increasing 1.44 million shares. 25.01% of the free float is being shorted. Works out to be 303.99 million shares overall are being shorted. Still see some signs of manipulation. So cost to borrow minimum is negative. So negative 0.22. That's an annual rate. So obviously it's not that big of a deal, but it does really signal that some brokers out there are paying people to short Lucid. So you don't see that all too often, but it is, I don't think it's some coincidence that it happens with Lucid, very heavily shorted, as well as some other entities that I do cover, one of which is 𝗖𝗎. So it goes to show that maybe Lucid and 𝗖𝗎 have some enemies in that kind of are a brokerage. And so over the weekend I did a video on how Fidelity, BlackRock, they are part of the original PIPE investors in Lucid, and maybe they have some grudge against Lucid, but nonetheless shorts are increasing because they want to bring it down below that 250 mark. But right now, looking at the options, 712,000 in calls, 573,000 in puts. So just looks like between 9:25 and 9:30, so roughly 30 minutes ago, there was 517,000 in overall premiums. 51% of all the options being done today, though, are neutral in nature, and most likely a lot of this is attributed to that. So if we organize it based on premiums, yeah, you can see two big transactions, neutral in nature. 420,000 for one premium, 84,000 in the other. Looks like a 250 put and a $2 put. So yeah, kind of interesting. Looks like the other ones right there, which were very low dollar value, aren't associated to them just based on the timestamps. But nonetheless, though, this is the open interest. So like I said, shorts market makers will want to try to bring Lucid down below this 250 mark because there's currently 2,000 at that 2, 22,000 at the 250, and then 26,000 at that 3. So That works out to be 2.2 million shares that shorts and market makers, I keep kind of grouping them together because most likely they work in tandem together, and so yeah, I kind of just associate that together. But nonetheless, they don't want to cover 2.2 million shares, and they don't have a lot of volatile stocks such as Lucid in their inventory, meaning they'll have to go to the open market to cover that. But this is why you are seeing a little bit of suppression towards that 250 mark and a little bit below that as well. But this is the current open, or the volume for today based on the bears. They are anticipating for it to be above 3, and then they are anticipating, the bears, for it to be sub roughly 250. Not really much volume to take note of, but these are those two big transactions, those entities. So the $2 one, that is for next week, and then also right here, that 250 for the week ending May 16th, 2025. These are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market above $100,000. So for those of you that kind of watch my videos every day, there's been a very notable big amount of institutions buying Lucid for whatever reason, ever since they did put out their Q1 numbers. But today does paint a different picture. You are seeing no big transactions that are buys. All of them are sells. 1.76 million, and obviously you guys can see the rest. So yeah, it's kind of interesting. So algorithmic trading is also playing a big part in clearly today, because Lucid wouldn't be green if you had shorts increasing and institutions selling. So algorithmic trading is really helping Lucid. These are all the transactions occurring on the dark pool. So a lot of big transactions here. So 3.36, 3.4, and that seems to be the only big ones above $1 million. And possibly, since the actual price was the same size right here, so 1.3 million, 1.3, $2.55, this is where it was done at, and then 252, maybe that was just them swing trading just to get like 200 something thousand. So they did a very quick swap for that. So, and based on the price point, with it being at 255 and then 252, that goes to show that was most likely, I would say, a short, because nobody, unless someone took a loss on Lucid, if that kind of makes sense. But nonetheless, with it right now at 252, trading between this R1 and the pivot. So 255 will be that next strong kind of target and point for Lucid to really close above today. And then 233 is going to be that next strong support. Right now, there isn't really all that much in articles coming out associated to Lucid. Now, I think we just have to wait for their upcoming earnings just to see what they have down the pipeline, what they're going to be doing, what their priorities are, and if they still have the same kind of goals as what they did state during the Q4 earnings. But as far as right now on the actual chart itself, so it is above the ALMA, below that looks like 50-day moving average, so that's sitting at $2.54. So that's going to be a key point as well for today, because historically, every time Lucid's gone above that 50-day moving average, does go in a nice 30% run, typically, of course. But so shorts also have a financial interest to ensure Lucid does close below that. Then aside from that, you have that 100-day moving average sitting at 258. So all in all, I think Lucid's still doing fairly well, considering it is still up 12.78% over the last 1 month, and that is a very pleasant change of events. So let me know your thoughts on that. The only other thing I wanted to share with you is a new rating, and it was done by Cantor Fitzgerald, just reiterated their hold position, and Andre Shepard has a 33% success rating. So let me know your thoughts on that. On a side note, if you do want all of this information to be completely free, so if you ever want to see analyst ratings, forecasts, ownership, everything under the sun, take a look at IBKR, link in the description below and also the comments. Like I said, completely free. A lot of good information here. But yeah, with all that, I appreciate all of you watching. And then pop over to my Discord. It is completely free. A lot of good people talking about stocks, options, crypto, everything that you ever need in life. So with all that, appreciate all of you watching.